Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is April 21st, 2023, and today is Friday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, we're watching Tesla tumble after coming out with earning reports. Now looking at the major economic events of today. So we have a bunch of manufacturing and services PMI numbers coming out, starting out at 9:30 from Germany, at 10:30 from Great Britain, and at 3:45 from the United States. In addition, today we have corporate earning reports for Procter & Gamble and SAP. So looking at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, we have the Canadian dollar continue to slide versus the USD. Looking at the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ remain unchanged. And looking at commodities, gold unchanged while oil continues to slide. Looking at the tech stocks, most of them kind of unchanged, but Tesla does gap down. Lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin slides lower. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. We're going to start with the Canadian dollar. As you can see, it continues to slide versus the USD as it gets closer to this 135.39-ish level. Now, this is not major, and most of the other pairs are really unchanged for the day to day. They've been really on a very light volume, very light, tight range, and not really tradable. The euro, that includes the Japanese yen, and includes the British pound as well. Canadian dollar is just sliding versus the USD, as you can see, and it continues to slide. And this is why it's the only one to really pay attention to at this stage as it gets closer to this 135.39-ish level. So keep an eye on this as it does get a little bit weaker. Now, it's not major kind of moves, okay? It's only in the 30 pip range, so not a big deal as we're looking at this pair. Now, jumping into commodities, gold, just trading at that supportish level. Okay, we're trading at 1995, 1996-ish level. As it's trading in this area, it's still on support. I would consider it unchanged, okay? Really unchanged. And unless it's going to either break out on the upside or the downside, I don't see much of a trading opportunity in gold as well. Looking at oil, though, it does look like it wants to fill in that gap at $75 a barrel. Okay, it did falter at that 82, and that was a decent place to pick it up as it continued to falter down to $77 a barrel. Now, looking at the U.S. market, starting out with the Dow Jones, really unchanged at 33,876. I feel like we've been around here for the past few days, and in fact, we have. Now, what's going to happen the rest of the week? Well, we're still waiting on earning reports from the United States next week. That's really an important number for us. And as we look at the NASDAQ also, barely changed day to day. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Let's just jump into Tesla. Big gap down here. If we look at a 1 hour chart, we went from 180 down to 167, and when we traded even lower to 162. Now, we can't really see a long-term graph on it because it doesn't populate it with the stock split. That is a bit of an issue, but we are getting into supportish area. So we may see this fill in the gap as we continue trading later today and as the week continues. So this is something to consider as we kind of balance off. Now, looking at the other stocks, Cisco also had that gap down and a second gap down and a third gap down. This is where it becomes very, very sensitive. This is a bellwether. This is something that's ahead of the curve. This is what I'm looking for to kind of give us a cue in to which way the markets are going. And if this is going down, then I'm afraid to say that the rest of the market may go down because this is a leading indicator. It's one that leads the market, and it's really a bread and mortar kind of company in the United States. So this is really something I'm paying attention to very, very closely. You can see we're even below our RSI of 30 and not really responding to it, and crossed over several times here on the MACD as well. So this is something really to consider. I would really pay attention to this because if it does continue selling off below this $45 range, we could see ourselves back in that $38 range as well. Now, jumping into the other tech stocks, Intel also just sliding just slightly, and this is another one I would pay attention to, but most of the others are really unchanged day to day. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, trading at 28,182, not a big deal. It's still within its range. It's still at supportish area. It did falter at 30K and just sliding lower. That doesn't mean that it's going to necessarily break lower today, but this is something I'd be paying attention to, okay, in the next couple of days especially. This is Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.